Let me tell you a secret most men will never understand. The difference between a woman who sleeps with you and a woman who becomes obsessed with you isn't in your looks, your money, or even your skills in bed. It's in the way you touch her, when sex isn't even on the table. That's right. The most powerful seduction happens long before the clothes come off. In moments so subtle, most men miss them entirely. But not you. Not after today. Because what I'm about to reveal will change how women respond to you on a primal level. Imagine knowing exactly where to kiss her, how to touch her, when to pull back so that her body craves yours like an addiction. This isn't pick-up artist tricks or cheap manipulation. This is the art of awakening a woman's deepest desire. The kind that lingers in her mind for days, that makes her chase you without you ever having to beg for attention. Stick with me, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you the 5 hidden places most men ignore. Places that, when touched the right way, don't just turn her on, they make her feel something she can't explain. And that, gentlemen, is how you stop being just another option and start being the man she can't forget. Don't skip ahead, because the most powerful one isn't where you think it is, and missing it could cost you everything. Let's talk about desire. Not the superficial kind, not the rushed, fumbling kind, but the kind that lingers in her mind long after you've touched her. Because if you think kissing is just about lips meeting skin, you've missed the entire point. Real desire is, for example, most men never even consider it. They go straight for the obvious, the expected, and in doing so, they fail to awaken what lies beneath. But when you bring your lips to that delicate pulse point, something profound happens. You're not just kissing her, you're tapping into a primal signal, the rhythm of her heartbeat. That's not just biology, that's psychology. The wrist is vulnerable. A place where her veins lie close to the surface, where her body betrays her arousal before she even realizes it herself. When you kiss her there, slowly, deliberately, you're not just touching her skin. You're demonstrating patience, control, and an understanding of her deeper instincts. You're showing her that you know how to read her, how to draw out her desire rather than demand it. And then there's the back of the neck. This isn't just a spot. It's a territory of surrender. When you kiss a woman there, you're engaging with something ancient, something wired deep in the nervous system. The neck is a place of exposure, of trust. In the animal kingdom, predators go for the neck to dominate. In love, you do the same, but with tenderness, with precision. When your lips brush that space just below her hairline, you're activating a response that bypasses thought entirely. Her breath catches, her spine arches, not because she's deciding to react, but because her body is answering yours on an instinctual level. This is the power of strategic touch. It doesn't just create pleasure, it commands attention. But let's go deeper. The spot just below her ear, soft, often ignored, is a direct line to her nervous system. When you exhale, letting your lips graze the skin, you're engaging with something far more potent than simple physical contact. You're playing with anticipation, with the space between stimulus and response, that moment of hesitation, that split second where she wonders if you'll linger or pull away. That's where real tension is built. And tension is the foundation of desire. Too many men rush. Too many men assume that passion is about speed. It's not. It's about restraint. It's about knowing exactly when to press in and when to hold back. Because what you withhold is just as important as what you give. And this brings us to the most dangerous territory of all, the inside of her thigh. Here's where most men fail. They either ignore it completely, treating it as nothing more than a stepping stone to something else, or they rush. Else is what separates the amateur from the master. So here's the truth. Desire isn't just about what you do, it's about what you understand. The body is a map, and every kiss is a choice. Do you follow the well-worn paths, or do you chart your own course? Do you settle for surface-level pleasure, or do you dig deeper, unlocking the kind of desire that lingers, that haunts, that leaves her breathless long after you've walked away? The choice is yours. But remember this, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary isn't luck. It's knowledge, and now you have it. So go forth and kiss her like a man who truly understands what it means to be desired. Let's talk about something counterintuitive. The fact that the most powerful way to make a woman crave you isn't by giving her everything at once, but by mastering the space between what she wants and what you choose to give. This isn't manipulation, it's psychology. It's understanding that desire isn't just about fulfillment, it's about tension, and tension requires restraint. Think about the last time you truly wanted something. Not just liked it, not just thought it would be nice to have, but ached for it. What made that desire so intense? Chances are it wasn't immediate gratification. It was the waiting, the wondering, the almost but not quite. That's the essence of anticipation. The art of making the space between wanting and having so electrifying that the fulfillment, when it comes, is explosive. Now, apply this to intimacy. Most men operate under a simple, flawed assumption that the faster they escalate, the more she'll want them. But that's like, it's the complexity, the nuance, the slow build that makes the experience unforgettable. When you kiss a woman's inner thigh once and then pull back, you're not just teasing her, you're demonstrating something far more profound, that you understand the power of delayed gratification. You're showing her that you're not desperate, that you don't need immediate validation, that you're confident enough to let the moment simmer. And that confidence, that's irresistible. This isn't just about sex, it's about human nature. The brain is wired to value what it has to wait for. Studies on dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation, show that anticipation often triggers a stronger response than the reward itself. When you pause before kissing her neck, when you let your lips hover just above her skin for a heartbeat too long, you're tapping into that exact mechanism. You're not just creating physical arousal. You're lighting up her mind. You're making her think about you, wonder about you, fantasize about what comes next. And that mental engagement is what transforms a fleeting moment into a memory that lingers. But here's the critical distinction. This isn't about playing games or being withholding for its own sake. It's about rhythm. It's about understanding that pleasure, like music, needs pauses to be meaningful. If every note is played at full volume, the result isn't intensity, it's noise. The same applies to touch. When you vary your pace, when you alternate between slow, deliberate kisses and sudden withdrawals, you're composing an experience. You're making her body hyper-aware of every sensation because it never deep. In a culture that glorifies instant gratification, choosing the slow path is an act of rebellion. When you kiss the arch of her foot or the curve of her shoulder blade with the same attention most men reserve only for obviously erotic zones, you're making a statement that she's not just a collection of body parts to be conquered, but a universe to be explored. This approach doesn't just satisfy women, it astonishes them. Because so few men understand that real seduction is about discovery, not conquest. There's an important distinction to make here between tenderness and timidity. This isn't about being hesitant or unsure, it's about being deliberately attentive. The confidence required to kiss her hip bone with the same intensity most men reserve for her mouth is actually greater because it demonstrates patience, knows exactly what's coming next. And that uncertainty, that's where obsession begins. This principle extends beyond the physical. It's present in every great story, every gripping film, every piece of art that holds your attention. What makes a narrative compelling isn't just the climax, it's the build-up. The moments where the hero almost gets what he wants, only to have it slip away. That's what keeps you glued to the page. And in intimacy, you're the storyteller. Every kiss you delay, every touch you withhold is a plot twist that deepens her investment. You're not just a participant in the experience. You're the architect of it. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Why does this work so powerfully on a psychological level? Because it mirrors something fundamental about feminine desire. Women are no understanding of its power, but when you kiss her there, just once, just enough to let her feel the heat of your mouth before retreating, you're not just teasing her. You're demonstrating mastery. You're proving that you understand the most fundamental rule of desire. It thrives on the unfinished, on the almost, but not quite. That tension, that ache, is what keeps her coming back. It's what makes her crave you long after the moment has passed. And then finally, there's the space between her fingers. This is where the game changes, because this isn't about raw lust, this is about intimacy. When you kiss her there, you're telling her something without words. That you adore even the smallest, most overlooked parts of her. That you're not just interested in taking, you're interested in knowing. And that, more than anything, conditioned to be the gatekeepers of intimacy, to set the pace. When you take that role, when you demonstrate that you're not just following her lead, but actively shaping the experience, it flips a switch. It shows her that you're not just another man rushing toward a finish line. You're someone who understands that the journey is the point. And that shift in perception is what separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. But here's the catch. This only works if your restraint comes from a place of abundance, key part responsible for safety and connection. This is why women often describe these moments as melting. It's not metaphorical. Their bodies are literally entering a state of receptivity that no amount of aggressive pursuit could ever achieve. But here's what most men fail to grasp. This kind of touch isn't just about her pleasure, it's about your transformation. When you learn to derive satisfaction from these subtle exchanges, you cease being a slave to your own hunger and become a connoisseur of shared experience. This is the hallmark of emotional maturity, the ability to find joy in giving pleasure without immediate reciprocation. Ironically, this is also what makes reciprocation inevitable, because nothing is more attractive to a high-quality woman than a man who isn't desperate. The philosophical implications run. Ultimate display of masculine security. When you can make her feel desired in these unexpected places, you solve the great riddle of intimacy. How to make a woman feel both safe and thrillingly unsafe at the same time. Practical application matters. Start by redefining your own relationship with touch. Next time you're together, let your hands wander without agenda. Trace the lines of her hands before interlocking fingers. Kiss her temple when she least expects it. These aren't just romantic gestures, they're strategic ones, because they build what psychologists call skin hunger, the biological need for meaningful touch that modern life starves us of. When you become the man who satisfies that hunger in creative, unexpected ways, you position yourself not as another fleeting experience, but as an irreplaceable source of attention to these overlooked places. The back of her knee, the inside of her elbow, the dip between her collarbones. You're communicating something revolutionary in today's hypersexualized world, that every part of her is worthy of reverence. This isn't just foreplay, it's a form of worship. And when a woman feels worshipped in this way, she doesn't just open her body to you, she opens her soul. There's deep psychology at work here. Physical touch releases oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, but not all touch creates equal effects. Rough, goal-oriented groping triggers stress responses. Tender, exploratory touch triggers bonding. When you trace your lips along the delicate veins on the inside of her wrist or breathe warmth into the hollow of her palm before kissing it, you're activating her parasympathetic nervous system. Being caught. So don't just give her what she wants, give her what she didn't even know she needed, the exquisite torture of waiting for it. Let's talk about the difference between sex and intimacy, because most men never learn to distinguish the two, and that's why their relationships remain superficial. True connection isn't built in the bedroom. It's built in those quiet, unexpected moments when you touch her, not because you want something, but because you genuinely see her. That's the paradox most men miss. The path to deepest desire runs through tenderness, not just passion. Consider the simple act of kissing the space between her fingers. On the surface, it seems almost innocent. Too innocent, perhaps, for men obsessed with chasing more overtly sexual experiences. But that's precisely why it's so powerful. When you pay, have the whole meal, but choosing to savor each bite. So what's the practical takeaway? Start small. Next time you're with her, pay attention to the spaces between your touches. Let your hand linger on her waist a second longer than necessary before moving away. Trace your finger along her collarbone, and then, just as she leans into it, stop. Watch how her breath catches. Notice how her eyes search yours. That moment, that tiny suspended moment, is where real desire lives. And when you learn to cultivate that space, something remarkable happens. You stop being just another man in her life. You become the man who understands something fundamental about her, something she might not even fully understand herself. That the body's deepest cravings aren't just for pleasure, but for the thrill of the chase, even if she's the one. Nourishment. The cultural lie we've been sold is that passion and tenderness exist on opposite ends of the spectrum. The truth is that they're the same current running through different wires. The man who kisses her between the fingers today will be the one she begs to touch her everywhere tomorrow. Not because he's playing some calculated game, but because he's shown her that intimacy isn't just a means to an end. It's the end itself. So here's your challenge. Stop trying to take her to bed and start taking her by surprise. The fastest way to a woman's desire isn't through the front door. It's through all the secret passages most men never think to knock on.